Welcome back to the Weekly Huddle YouTube channel. I am finally back. 1 3-week vacation in Puerto Rico, engagement, and having my brother be in the Special Olympics later. I am finally back and still equally as obsessed with football. I think absence made the heart grow fonder. I got really into the USFL while I was gone, and now when I come back, I've taken a whole dive into not only the rookie class that's going to be coming up in 2022-2023, but I've already started doing my scouting for the 2023 draft class. And I will have more videos coming out for those prospects later on. I'm hoping to do some more deep dives and things like that this upcoming draft season. But for right now, I wanted to go through and look at 5 players who I think will surprise a lot of fans in the 2022-2023 season as rookies, and 5 players that have a lot of hype coming into the season, and it may be a little more disappointing to people that are expecting them to be coming and be these elite caliber Pro Bowl players as social media and things like that have been telling you guys. So let's just dive right into this list, and I hope you guys have a good time. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I have a lot more things planned. It's the summer, and I have a big focus on my channel right now, just because I've had such a break and a long time off to brainstorm stuff. So, yeah, I got some cool projects on the way. But anyway, let's get into the list. First up, we have our surprise number 1. Now, these are not any particular order. I'm not going to put any values on these. I'm just going to say guys I saw as I went through and checked each team. Number 1 is Michael Clemons, the edge rusher off of New York Jets. He's originally from Texas A&M. If you watched my draft sleepers video, which I know I'm not expecting anybody who have seen this to have seen that, but if you did, he was one of the edge rushers. I don't remember if he actually put him in the video or if I had him as an honorable mention, but he's one of those guys that is the size and athletic profile of an NFL defensive end who just needs to get more reps and intangibles to really harness that raw athletic, kind of profile. So I think with the Jets, he can be somebody who comes in on like a third down passing option or something like that and is able to make impacts, splash plays, maybe get like a 5-6 sack season, and people are talking about like, oh, who's this random 4th round pick that is all of a sudden putting up sack numbers for the Jets as they're an improving team. And I especially think this because Jermaine Johnson, I like him as a prospect, I have him as a 1st round pick. He'll probably be their main and number 1 pass rusher. Carl Lawson's coming off that major injury, so he may have a little bit of a slower start this season. And outside of that, I don't think Michael Clemons really has any competition for the first backup spot. Like there's Bryce Huff and some guys like that who are going to be pushing for playing time there. But I believe that Michael Clemons should be backup number 1, the first guy in the rotation to come in to take time off for either of those guys, whether it's going to be Jermaine Johnson, who just might need some plays off because he's going to be carrying the pass rush on his back, on the edge rush anyway, or Carl Lawson, who is just needing to catch back up to speed after the injury. So I think Michael Clemons is in good position and has the necessary tool set to be able to capitalize and put up some production that people aren't expecting from him. Disappointment number 1 I'm going to have is Jordan Davis, D-tackle out of the Philadelphia Eagles. These disappointments list, I like all of these players, right? I may have had them a little lower than how a lot of other people did, but I still like Jordan Davis I had as a top 10 player. Jordan Davis, everyone's the jokes are all like, oh yeah, he's huge, he's got great personality, everyone's he's big on social media right now with how people are getting PFF is posting him a lot, and these joke NFL YouTubers the kind of guys who make comedy out of it always talk about how large he is and things like that. Yeah, and yes, he's gonna do good, but people have to understand he's going to be rotating in. Right now, I don't think he's going to be playing alongside Fletcher Cox all that often. Maybe on some obvious rundowns or maybe early down, things like that. But he's going to be rotating in with Fletcher Cox, and Fletcher Cox is going to eat up a lot of those snaps. And despite him being this giant physical freak, I don't think he has that great of a pass rush upside coming in as a rookie. So he'll make more of his, big plays to eating up blocks and things like that. So he's not going to put up a bunch of these stats, and he's also going to be having to split, if not do sub 50% snap counts because Fletcher Cox is in front of him. So yes, in the long term, I think he will develop that pass rush acumen, and he'll eventually take over Fletcher Cox and be the starter who's out there for 70 plus snaps. But I think for this rookie season, lower your expectations just slightly. And I'm gonna package, so we're gonna change up the format real quick because these 2 players play the same position for the same NFL team, and I just want to talk about real quick. So number 2 and 3 in our surprises is Marcus Jones, cornerback for the New England Patriots, and Jack Jones, cornerback for the New England Patriots. So Marcus Jones was out of Houston. I originally had him graded as a safety because I think he played that more often at Houston. He was like either the slot corner / safety for them, and also played on offense and was their main return guy, which is where I think he's going to make a lot of his big splashes. He's going to have those big splash return plays. He's going to be a dynamic returner for them. He's already slotted in to be their starter punt and kick returner. And as well as, I think he can make some splash plays, with some pick sixes and things like that, because he's such a good athlete. So if he has gotten the opportunity to go out there, and New England always coaches up their DBs pretty well, if he can go out there and make a couple big splash pick sixes and things like that, I think he'll be able to be a guy that people really take note of and know his name by the end of the season, despite not being a top 2-round draft pick kind of the guy. So I really like Marcus Jones, and I think that his athletic skill set is going to make him pop to the average viewer. And Jack Jones for the New England Patriots is just, if Marcus Jones doesn't get the starting slot cornerback role, it's because Jack Jones got it. Jack Jones is feisty. He got into a bit of some off-field character red flags, which is why he didn't go as highly as some people would like him to. But I think he's undersized, but he's super feisty. He gets in people's faces. And for a team that wants to play that hard-nosed, run the ball, good defense, with that rough kind of personality, I think that's a perfect fit for Jack Jones with New England Patriots. So I think he'll be somebody that people who have to play the Patriots are see him as oh, that guy is making plays against us. Who is he? And then they start learning who Jack Jones is. And I think this pair of cornerbacks that the Patriots have taken are going to be making more names of themselves and eventually grow into names such as maybe not to the high skill level that J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore were, but they'll be able to make names for themselves on this New England Patriots defense the way other DBs have in the past. So we're going to package these two together again, just because I packaged two in the surprises for disappointments. Number 2 is going to be Sky Moore, wide receiver for Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I like Sky Moore. Like I said, I don't hate any of these disappointments, guys. I'm just saying that people were so desperate for the Kansas City Chiefs to take a wide receiver after trading Tyreek Hill. And Sky Moore isn't the kind of athlete, no one is, that Tyreek Hill is. And as well, Sky Moore is going to be a slot receiver at the end of a level. He has good length, despite having a short frame, or just being short in general. So people think he can play on the outside, but I think initially he's going to have to play in the slot. But they already brought in Juju Smith-Schuster, who's going to be he's a veteran who has shown to have success out of the slot. So not only is he not guaranteed to have the starting slot position down right away, but he's also just not the athlete or not the caliber of receiver that people are going to expect him to come in and be replacing. So if you're expecting Sky Moore to come in and have a 1,400-yard season receiving and just be Tyreek Hill never even left kind of thing, I would just say temper your expectations just slightly. And then pairing it up with that number 3 is going to be Fedarian Mathis, D tackle out of Washington Commanders. Washington taking Alabama defensive linemen has always been they're going to be good. But Fedarian Mathis, I think, is more of a low ceiling kind of run defender guy. He had some good sack numbers his last year at Alabama, but it was mostly from just effort plays and just having so many good pass rushers on that Alabama team. The quarterbacks had to step up right into his area of control. So I think he'll be a good intangibles player, somebody who plays for them for a long time as a rotational backup. But people who are going to come in and expect, he's a second-round pick or a third-round pick, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was a second-round pick to Washington, who has all these great Alabama D linemen who always come out and are, they have this elite D line. I'd say don't try to compare him to Deron Payne and things like that, or in Jonathan Allen. He's not that caliber of player, despite coming from the same school, despite playing the same position. He's not going to beat them out for any starting snaps, and I think that from after watching those guys, especially the Washington fans, I don't expect him to come in and make those big splashes. So temper your expectations for Fedarian Mathis just because it fits the profile of the typical Washington Commanders, good D lineman. Number 4 for our surprises is going to be Hassan Haskins, running back for Tennessee Titans. If you saw on QPro88's channel, we did a discussion about running backs, and I hammered the table for Hassan Haskins as RB4 in this draft class, and I stand by it. He showed a lot of Le'Veon Bell traits to me. He's not this most elite athlete, but he has some hidden receiving talent that can be tapped into. And I feel as though a team that has Derrick Henry, which he's going to take a lot of the carries, but last year Henry dealt with injury as well. They're going to need somebody to come in and be able to be that receiving back for them. And I think if Haskins can unlock what some of that receiving talent I think he does have, he can become their main receiving back. As well, he provides that power aspect, so that way if they take Derrick Henry out to give him a rest, they're not going to be losing and going to, say when they had, I think it was James White is who they had. Maybe it was the other guy that played for the Patriots, who was a kind of a smaller scat back who didn't really bring the power behind his running game. So I think they'll be replacing Derrick Henry when he takes the subs out in the field with an not equally strong power back, but still a similar style power runner who can offer more receiving options than Derrick Henry himself can. Disappointment number 4, this is going to stick with the running back, is going to be James Cook, running back for the Buffalo Bills. I was never the biggest James Cook fan. I thought second, third round was a little rich for him. And the Bills, people outside of the Bills organization as well as Bills fans themselves don't really think Devin Singletary is a great running back, but he's still a solid, decent NFL starter. So he's going to be getting the starting touches. James Cook's going to have to fight him for that. Maybe he'll be like that, more the outside handoff kind of role dude. But outside of that, I don't think he's going to get like 12 plus touches a game on a regular basis. And the only way I can see him getting like 15 overall touches in a game is if he contributes in the passing game. But the Bills don't necessarily incorporate the running backs in the passing game all that well outside of blocking. They don't run a lot of screens and things like that. Now that might change with Ken Dorsey as offensive coordinator. But a pass-first offense who already has an established starting running back who has chemistry with the current offensive players and taking over offensive coordinator is going to be the main focus of the rushing offense, and the team just doesn't incorporate running backs all that well. So James Cook might not be the guy who's going to get these big numbers on a high-powered offense that people have been parading him as. Number 5, for the surprises, our final one is going to be Greg Dulcich, tight end UCLA, now of the Denver Broncos. They got rid of Noah Fant in the Russell Wilson trade, and they're expecting Albert O to come in and take over for that spot. But I feel like Greg Dulcich, who's a converted wide receiver, is a much more natural receiver than Albert O. Albert O's got him as a better athlete. He ran that ridiculous, I think it was like a 4.3 40. So he might get the athlete, and he's been there already. He's a better athlete, and he's going to get the advantage to start first because he was there longer, and his repertoire with some of the guys that are still there, like the other wide receivers. But I think that a new coaching staff, a new quarterback, and a new GM who brought in their own guy with Greg Dulcich, who has that receiving ability that Noah Fant had and brought to that offense, could be a similar kind of player for them. And if Albert O doesn't, hit it off with Russell Wilson, even in training camp, I could see Greg Dulcich taking over as that starting tight end as soon as week 1. So keep a lookout for him. I know he's getting some buzz as tight end 1 coming into the season, so I think he might be a good fit to replace Noah Fant there. And finally, number 5 for disappointments is going to be David Bell, wide receiver, Cleveland Browns. I was never the biggest David Bell fan. I had him as like a 3rd or 4th round wide receiver. And now with the Browns, and he's slotted to be their starting slot receiver right now, which I feel like could be good for him. But he doesn't win particularly anywhere well outside of like contested catch situations. So that's gonna be it's kind of a weird thing to hang your hat on when you're a player on those kind of things. So he's gonna need to add different elements, a better route running, maybe try to get some better speed with some more with some training like that, some strength training. And as well as I don't think that the quarterback carousel. So either Deshaun Watson's gonna be playing as his quarterback. And if that happens, maybe he does have a big season that people are expecting to have. But if not, and it's either Baker Mayfield, who's not at training camp, not building chemistry with him right now, or if Baker Mayfield doesn't play with them, some backup like Jacoby Brissett and things like that, David Bell's going to get out to a slow start at the beginning of the season if Deshaun Watson comes in at all. And even then, Deshaun Watson's not going to have any chemistry with him because they haven't been playing in games together. So I feel like the entire pass offense for the Browns is kind of in danger with the quarterback situation, but especially with people who are David Bell truthers and stands from the draft last year, or this past draft. They're not going to be particularly happy with his production come the beginning of the season, I believe, just because of that turmoil and the fact that I was never that highly on him to begin with. So I feel like a lot of people are going to get a cold splash reality of who David Bell really is as a wide receiver and just overall what that Cleveland Browns passing offense is going to be. So this was more of a relaxed video. I tried not to make as many ads and things like that, just try to talk to you guys in a kind of relaxed manner. So this is going to be put up like maybe a day or two after I record it. And hopefully no rookies get randomly traded like it has in the past, like Lyndon Bowden and something like that, so it just messes this whole list up. But yeah, I'm going to sign off for this one. I'm going to be working on some draft prospect profiles for 2023, some summer scouting stuff to go up on the channel, some more quiz bowls I have going on. I have a couple special guests I'm going to be getting in that I'm pretty excited about, as well as I have a couple more creative out there projects that revolve around football. So I'm excited to get into those and be able to put those out there. So stay tuned for those, and I'll see you guys later.